You wouldn't suggest wearing a shirt that says like, don't hate me because I'm hot, or screw everybody, or those sorts of shirts, or you wouldn't suggest maybe dressing the worst you could dress. You would recommend, no matter what you're at financially, try to do the best you can.
Look in the mirror with somebody that doesn't know you. If you had somebody come up to you looking exactly like you look, would they be compelled to say, you know what, that guy's up to something good, I want to buy something from them?
And I would even say, this is one thing that was very humbling for me. A person said to me, he said, if you look in the mirror and ask yourself if an investor would ever be willing to invest $1 million in you. And that question has been one that will not leave me alone, because whenever I think about it, I'm like, okay, and I have to like readjust, and I think it's huge if we set that high standard. Yeah. And I want to ask you this. The next principle here is being on time. Now, I know I've got 5 kids. You've got the 4 kids. I have an amazing wife. You have a great wife. All the kids are involved in activities. There's tons of stuff going on. There's never a day without an emergency or someone being sick. There's always meetings that run a little bit over how they should run. But talk to me about this. How important is being on time in your mind?
It shows that other person respect. If you meet with somebody, I had one of your primary mentors, and he and I met at a restaurant, and I had a call that went over, and so I came in about 10 minutes late. He said, Tim, I was tempted to leave, but I wanted to stay here to leave this message with you. When you came late, you told me that I was not important. You also told yourself that your commitments don't matter. If you say you're going to come here at this time and you come 10 minutes late. So I was about ready to leave, but I wanted to invest in a relationship. That was Clifton, one of our mentors. And he was very, very direct with me. And it's like, wow, well, Cliff, we're buddies at church, and you can't talk to me that way. No, he was a true friend. A best friend is the one that brings out the best in you. And so, I am more of an event-oriented person. I'm more of a, I go down to South America a lot and interact, do a lot of training down there with businesses and churches and governments, and so it's like to say goodbye is like a 15-minute ordeal. And so I tend to be that way, and if I am not really careful to say, listen, this shows how much I love and respect you by being on time, then I will tend to say, well, it's about this time, and I come stumbling in when I come stumbling in.
I noticed for me, one of the hardest things is ending a meeting on time, because sometimes you want to be on time. You might start the meeting on time, but you want to end the meeting on time. One thing that I'm learning, I'm really trying to be better at this year, is kind of before the meeting starts, trying to identify all the things that need to be discussed, and then working at a speed needed to get it done on time. Because sometimes you don't want to, but we all of us, I don't know anybody here watching this who doesn't struggle in some capacity, whether it's once a year or once a week, with being on time. But what it does is it tells the people in the room that you don't value their time. And we've all made mistakes, but I think it's huge that we all strive to be on time. Now, with your family, in your schedule, what are some tips you would recommend, just on a practical level, whether it's setting the alarm early, or what are some tips you recommend to help somebody be on time more effectively?
Well, it really helps me if I'm beginning my day and I really map it out, and then if I share my map with my wife, she's not guessing. We've got Google Calendar. She has access to see that, but for her to be able to know that, and then sometimes she nudges and says, Tim, don't you have this going? You got 20 minutes lead time for this. I'm in my event. I'm completely absorbed. And so that helps me. She gives me nudges and that kind of thing. So, mapping out my day and telling my wife what my day is lets her know what's going on so we can coordinate together, but also is sharing with somebody else that can say, hey, listen, what about this and this and this that you talked about doing?